Today was great. I thought there was good energy today. I thought the execution was good. I think both sides of the ball are keeping it relatively simple, so the focus is on fundamentals and technique. Allows our confidence to grow on both sides, and when it's that way, because you'll have good execution. And so I thought that was good. I think it's been a great winter. The staff I felt was really gelled. I think the connection between coaches and players I feel strong. It's been intentional. It's been the least amount of football that I've done in winter in my career, and I think a lot of our coaches too. And so we were around our players as much as we could. And I'm thankful for everyone at Baylor for allowing that to happen. And so whether it's weightlifting sessions or it's walking them to class, or it's spending time with them talking about academics, or it's having an occasional meal. And so I think that in order to build a trust and a shared commitment, there's a lot of effort put into it. And so it's nice to be able to see that kind of come to fruition here.
With Coach Grimes coming in, how much will you guys roll out the new offense, and how much will the offense change?
Yeah, so it is changed. Yeah, I think there's got more pro style elements to it. I think I know we're going to be a wide zone team, which I think in the Big 12 makes a lot of sense. I think you look at some of the more efficient teams in our league, they run the wide zone. And I think, when I look at Big 12 defenses, I see stunts, twists, and games, and pressures. And so when you run the wide zone, you really pick all of it up, and your calls are limited, and you can run off the ball and drive people sideways. And I think there's some of that today. But I think it'll all come from that play, the play action pass, the max protection shots, and then the misdirection fly sweeps, and misdirection counter runs. And so it is a different offense.
Did you have many preparations for spring ball in place last year? When everything kind of went to the wayside, and I guess even if you did you kind of revisit that preparing for this spring practice?
We had a full schedule, and we had practices lined up. And when we left, when we broke, I remember going home. I remember meeting with Mac Rose and saying, "Hey, this is where it's at. You guys need to go home." And I remember thinking at the time, this would be a week or so, and we're back. And so we had the first week scripted out. We had all spring ball calendared out. Now it's different then. I think we were going in the morning on certain days and afternoon on others. And we pushed back as long as we could to go spring ball, so we could spend more time on just development.
Dave, because of where you were a year ago, was it just a different level of excitement? Being out here first day. Actually, doing football.
You count your blessings. You do. I think. I imagine at times there's things to take for granted, and so when things are taken away from you, you don't have the ability to do things. You sure savor it, and I think the ability to spend time with your players outside of weightlifting, outside of athletic endeavors, and really focus in on them as people, and really build that relationship, and then take that to football. It's really the way it's supposed to be done, and we're trying to stay as true to that as we can now that we have the opportunity.
How is Squirrel coming along with his rehab and stuff?
Good, yeah. He's still, it's slow, but it's steady, and I think he's got a great attitude. And so I was in the offensive team meeting today after our team meeting, and Coach Grimes does a great job of really making a point of, this is our identity, this is our mantra, this is what we stand for. And he quizzes guys, and it happened to be Squirrel today, and Squirrel knocked it out, man. Knocked it out. I had never seen him sit up as straight, talk as loud as he did, and I think there's a great there's a great belief and a great trust right now developing on that side of the ball, and I think Squirrel, as much as anyone, is right in the middle of it.
What's kind of his timeline? Like, how do you work him this spring with the injury and all of that?
Yeah, so we do with him what we can. So a lot of it, like we have a walkthrough room that we'll utilize. And then in any of the walkthroughs we have here, it's going to be pass protection. It's going to be play action pass protections on identification and things that are not really jeopardizing his health or getting him to move more than what he should.
The single-digit numbers, obviously, it's back again this year. Jalen being number 8. I asked him about kind of what that means to some of the newcomers. Just what have you seen maybe as far as the standard of what it means for a single-digit number to maybe some of the newcomers?
Yeah, the leadership of those guys, and I think their accountability for just their actions and their behavior, I think, is very strong. And so, and it's noticeable. I think the young incoming guys can see it, but I think just as important as that is that we as full-time coaches, we recognize it. And so we see them, the single-digit guys, going out of their way to build connection, to model what class it looks like, what integrity looks like, and I don't think any of it's perfect, but they're certainly trying, and I appreciate that.
Dave, as much as your preference might be to have a guy entrenched at quarterback, is there almost an excitement about how wide open this is, that this is just,
It's pretty intense. You could feel it today. You could feel it, and I think that all those guys are competitors, and every single one of them brings a different skill set, and so it makes it really unique that way. Both Coach Grimes and Coach Bell and I have had a fair amount of conversation about this. We're excited for the opportunity, and I know they're attacking just based upon today. Well, even prior, just the time spent on their own studying, the time spent on their own coming in asking questions, learning defense, asking defensive questions. They're all in, and so it's going to get good.
We're in the heart of March Madness. What's that like seeing Coach Drew and Mulkey out there right now, and just kind of that Baylor pride? What's that like?
Oh, it's awesome. I'm proud. I'm proud to be a Baylor, and I think that's the blueprint. That's what it's supposed to look like. When you look at the connection on their teams, and you look at the fight on their teams, and you look at what's happening on the court, but then you look at the class and integrity that's off the court, and you look at the coaches that are modeling that, that's what it's supposed to be. And so it inspires me.
You brought in Big Valoria this offseason. What kind of gains, you talked about the offseason and how good it was, what kind of gains have you seen from that side of things?
It's been very strong. I think an example would be all across the board. I think our strength gains, there's in most cases 100 pounds, or I look at Micah Makuza. Micah had a squat, I think, of 360, I want to say, in January, and he squatted 585 a week ago. And so he's an extreme example. But I think there's examples like that, and I think when guys are pushed in the weight room and they're pushed with a connection and a shared commitment and a brotherhood, I think what's built then is a confidence, right? And we can then get with that confidence get to an edge or get to an aura of dominance. And so that's our path, It starts in that room. It starts with Vic and his crew, and they're a motley crew. I love them, man. They've done a great job. Yeah.
Dave, for just in spring football, what do you feel like is the biggest focus? Is it establishing scheme, weight room? What would you say is the biggest thing you hope to get out of this spring?
No, I appreciate that. And so we gave three 3 goals for spring. So number 1 was own the standard, right? The hardest thing about having a standard is that you are the standard. So for us, that'd be class, right? It's okay to be polite. It's okay to have good manners. Going back to some of the basketball question that you talked about, it's okay to be humble. Actions speak louder than words. Like what that looks like, right? We talk about integrity, right? If we're going to have really high standards, man, it's hard every day to live up to those standards. And all the choices that you could make, right? Here's the choices that you have to make, and holding yourself accountable to that, and holding others accountable to that. On the field, we talk about energy, edge, execution, and so those standards, like owning them. When we talk about those standards, right? We don't have to look at a wall. Look at me, right? That'd be number 1. Number 2 would be develop dominance, and so competitive spirit, relentlessness, toughness, physical play. We watched, a lot of the team watched Amanda Nunez. We talked about this. Who did she fight a couple weeks ago? I can't remember the name.
I forget her name too, but she was dominant.
Megan, I think her name was Megan, and Megan Anderson. And I think that thing it seemed like it was over before it started. And so there's just an aura of dominance with Amanda. And so, like, what does dominance look like, right? How does competitive spirit and relentlessness every day, right? How does that drive that dominance? And the last thing we said was don't flinch. And so, whether it's COVID, whether it's failure, right, bad practice, whether it's a good practice, success, whether it's grades, whether it's stuff off the field, right, knowing that adversity is going to come, then let's lean into it, man. Let's use that to be a better person. And so I think those things, football can help us with those.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Coach.
y'all.